Hello, hello, 390 Wagon Master here. Gonna bite into a little project here. I've kind of neglected this old girl. This has been one of my favorite watt meters here. I use this watt meter. This has a 10 watt scale and a 100 watt scale on it, and I like the way they did the meter on there. And for me, it's easy to read. And I don't have a bunch of small slugs. I don't have any small slugs for the Bird 43, so this is kind of like what I go to. And if this says 4 watts, the Bird usually is just shy of 4. It's just like a needle's width shy. I mean, they're pretty darn close, and it's all relative anyway, right? But I want to address this. I'm going to see what we can do inside for maybe changing caps, put some high-grade caps in there possibly. I don't really know. I do know this. The cabinet's pretty shag nasty, and I want to fix it up. And I like the crinkle on here, so I like that look. And I think we can clean that up and put a coat or two of some hammered Rust-Oleum on there. I think that'll look kind of cool. Now these feet on the bottom, they're metal. It's kind of a weird thing, but anyway, they're metal, so we're going to address that. I've always kind of been afraid to put this on a shelf or on top of a radio. Usually when I do that, I'll take and fold up a little towel or something and set it underneath here, but we're going to put some rubber feeties on there of some kind. And anyway, see if this thing, see what we can do with this. I'm on channel 20. I have the RF power on this dialed down to 2 watts. This thing sounds pretty mean at 2 watts RF output. I am running a designated jumper for this test. This is, I believe, a 6-foot jumper, and give or take. And I'm going to key this up. So what we've got here is this is a 100 watt slug that I have, and what we're going to do is we're going to read this scale as 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, right? So that line would be 10. Each one of these is 2 watts, basically. All right, so I have it hooked up to my dummy load, 1500 watt dummy load underneath the table. And we will key this up. We're on AM, of course. Doesn't make any difference. And I am at 2 watts. 2 watts. Yeah, that thing swings. That's an RMS, by the way. Anyway, so yeah, we're not here to test the radio, but anyway, 2 watts. So I am going to now unhook the Bird. I will hook that connector up here and this one here. We're just not going to change anything else. We're just going to swap meters out of line. Okay, so I've got the coax swapped out. Come on, camera. Here we go. So we want to be close to there. Let's turn down the volume here on my monitor. So we're at about 1.5 watts. So I am going to adjust this to 2. We'll get that so it reads at 2 and then come back. Okay, so I've got it calibrated, and what we've got here on low, get the light down there, on low we have straight up 2 watts showing some forward swing. Hello. So anyway, we'll just reference the PEP on here just for the heck of it, see if it's like that on the Bird. I shouldn't say PEP, but the RMS. So we're RMS talk power. Hello, about 3 3/4. There we go. So we got a 4, but anyway, 2. So they now match, and that's on the 10 watt scale. Now on the 100 watt scale, I could only get it to about 2.5 watts, and that's where we're sitting there, just about 2.5 watts. And that's relatively close, showing 4 on that as well. These things are nice. If you guys can find one of these, get one. I really like this. All right, so we've got that at 2 watts. We have that at 2 watts. Remember, this is all relative. We're not working on the space shuttle here. But here's what we have here. Now I marked them. Did kind of a lame job on the first attempt. However, this is the modulation. I left that alone. This was the, come on camera, this was the low power setting here. And this was the high power setting. So this one had to be brought over quite a ways actually. But, you know, component changes over the years for sure. And who knows how close it was out of the factory. They were probably turning, you know, 5,000 of these out a day. And yeah, that resistor is pretty janky, so we'll throw another one in there and do this cap. And then we'll come back and see what we have, see if anything's changed. Then we can get on to the fun stuff. I can send this thing to body and paint. Alright, so I replaced that cap, and it was about double its value capacitance wise. However, ESR and all that was just fine. But I put a new Nichicon in there, a good one. So anyway, we have that in there. That's in the modulation circuit anyway. No big deal. The 10 ohm resistor was just fine, and actually spec'd out at 10.09. And as you can see, it made no difference in the meter. Let's see here, what am I doing? Oh, I'm on the wrong setting. Right at the 2 watts. Right where it needs to be. This radio does this. It takes a second to get to its final carrier. It's kind of weird. I've noticed that since day one. Does that on every meter I've checked it on. Okay, anyway, so never change that. Service the pots here. Got it with some QD cleaner, some Deox. That's all I have is a gold. I'm out of the other, but anyway, that'll work. I need to get rid of that can anyway, so I'm using that rather liberally. And this is pretty cool. Let me see here. Let me put this in modulation, and I'll put it in set mode, and watch how smooth that is. Man, that's nice to have. Gosh, I've gone like 15 years with that thing being all jumpy and janky. Okay, so next up we are going to address this really ugly shag nasty enclosure. It is not in too bad a shape. I like the texture that it has going on with it there, but yeah, she's going to need a coat of paint, and I think I'm going to send this out to paint and see what we can do and give this maybe a new coat of hammered paint. Kind of brighten it up a little bit, not go overboard. I don't want it to look too modern, but anyway, we'll see what we can do with it, and we'll send this puppy out to paint. Stay tuned. Okay, so we got her back from paint. I made some custom rubber feet here out of some old rubber strips that I had. Had double stick on the backside, and I punched those holes out with a cartridge. Just kind of used it like a leather punch, and gave it a fresh coat of paint. So when this all cures, I'll probably just rub this down just a hair, but anyway, that's fine. I like it. I think it turned out really well. Usually I use Rust-Oleum hammered, but my local Home Depot was out of it, and so I tried the Bear brand. I guess that's Home Depot's house brand, and I'm not really a fan of Bear paint in general, but I thought I'd give it a shot, and I actually think I found a new go-to hammered paint. I really like how that turned out. That turned out pretty nice. And as far as prep work goes, I just hit it with some Scotch-Brite and rubbed it down with some lacquer thinner. And I left these edges kind of ragged. They were originally, but I like it. I think it turned out pretty nice. I don't know. I might rub it down a little bit, maybe hit it with some rubbing compound or some buff out or something, maybe in a month or two after she cures. And then I added a green LED to it. I really like that. Good match. That'll be nice. That's going to come in handy for sure. I cleaned the face with some Awesome Cleaner, and I like that citrus cleaner. I've never had problems with it taking off any printing or ink or anything like that, whatever they use. You know, various companies use various techniques. And when in doubt, and I was in doubt with this, I thinned it down a little bit. And when you thin it down, it works just as good, but you just got to let it sit on there just a little bit longer. And the knobs got the treatment as well. These are all cleaned and lubed with Deox. And yeah, everything's nice. So let's see if we're still at 2 watts. We are still at 2 watts. So now this is calibrated to this, and there you go. I know it's all relative, but it is what it is. As you saw at the beginning of this video, it wasn't really that far off. What was it, like half a needle click or something? But anyway, there you go. Replaced the cap inside, a little electrolytic. It was this little 1 farad. And did some solder joints. I don't really think they needed to be done, but we just cleaned them up anyway. Anyway, there you go. The old Royce 2-097 vintage watt meter, 10 watt, 100 watt scale, SWR meter, and modulation meter. She's all refurbed and ready to go another 20 years. Alrighty, thanks for watching. Cheers.